Hello and welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all doing well. The sun is out, spring is finally almost here, and I feel like I have woken up from my slumber. Oh my god, this past winter was one of the hardest ones I've ever had to go through. It was brutal. I think it was a combination of just the state of things in the world, some health issues I was dealing with, and life in general, but I honestly struggled a lot this winter. But thankfully, now that the sun is out a little bit more, I'm starting to feel better, and I'm also seeing some good results from the health issues I was dealing with. And even my face, like just seeing myself on camera, like I look brighter. There's actually life in my eyes, and I know that sounds kind of morbid, but honestly, I was just really struggling this past winter. But anyway, this video is going to be me going over my kind of like first haul of 2025 and some other topics that I haven't really figured out how I want to lump them together, which is going to be a problem for future me to figure out when I'm trying to decide what I want to title this video. But for my first haul of 2025, this is pretty much everything that I've picked up so far in 2025. There honestly isn't a whole lot of it, and some of these things are from an order that I placed late last year that got delivered in 2025 as well. I only have like 3 small piles here that I'll go over a little bit more, but I'm going to, before I actually go over everything that I picked up, I'm going to mention that I'm not going to be buying a whole lot of manga this year. If you look through my channel, you know that I used to do like monthly hauls and stuff like that because I was trying to focus on building up my manga collection. And I'm still going to be doing that, just slowing down the amount that I've been picking up while I try to focus on reading what I do already own. And in the meantime, I'm going to be shifting my collection towards purchasing things from my 𝕬𝕒 wish list, which is another thing that another type of content I guess that this channel kind of focuses on a whole lot. I'm going to talk about 𝕬𝕒 in another video though. I know I mentioned that I wanted to show some things that I purchased or acquired recently that I didn't already cover in my 𝕬𝕒 bookcase video, so I'm going to have another video going over all of that stuff. But yeah, I don't really foresee myself doing a lot of manga haul type videos this year in general because I haven't really picked up much of anything, and I don't really see that changing for the rest of the year. But going back to manga that I've picked up recently, I divided them into 3 sections. So the first section will be manga that I am continuing to read. I've actually read most of this already this year. So I have the final volume of 𝕚𝕼𝕉 by Shinichi Sakamoto. I enjoyed the first 2 volumes, or the first 2 omnibuses of this series. It has a sequel titled Innocent Rouge, and I think that's meant to focus on, crap, I'm blanking on her name, which probably wouldn't even make any sense to you if I say if you're not already familiar with the series. But quite honestly, the series kind of lost me in this last omnibus, and I have no plans to continue reading the sequel, which brings me to another point that I was going to try to make in this video. I want to do a better job of not holding on to things that I know I don't want to keep. So I've been very strict on hauling manga that I don't really see myself reading, and that is why I'm deciding not to keep buying the rest of, or the sequel for 𝕚𝕼𝕉, and there are other titles here that will come up in the video that I'm just getting rid of already. The other one that I have here is Reliving My Life with a Boyfriend Who Doesn't Remember Me. This is the 2nd volume. I read the first volume last year. It was interesting, but I didn't feel as invested in the story. However, I feel like I was able to get the investment that I needed in this 2nd volume, and I'm very much looking forward to reading the rest of it. And I have Sasaki and Miyano volume 10. I did read this one already as well. It was so sweet. Honestly, I just expect to read it and have the most ridiculous smile on my face all the time. And then I have the Other Worlds books, Depend on the Bean Counter, volume 5 of that. Okay, it dropped on the floor, but I found it a little bit hard to follow the plots because it's been a while since I read the series, so it might be time for me to read the entire thing and take some notes so I can jump in whenever. The 3 other titles I have here I actually haven't read. Don't Call It Mystery. I've talked about this a lot on my channel, so I'm not going to try to bore you with the details of the series. Read it, it's good. I'm looking forward to reading it this month. Volume 13 of Cherry Magic, another one that I talk about a whole lot, and I'm really looking forward to reading that one. Then I have the 3rd volume of My Dearest Patrolman. I have the 1st volume and I already did read that one. When I picked up the 3rd volume, the 2nd volume was out of stock, so I don't have the 2nd volume. I have yet to read that, so I don't really have much to say about it. When I pick up the 2nd volume, hopefully by the time I film a video about it, I will have read both the 2nd and the 3rd volume. This 3rd volume is the last one in the series, and I can give you my impression of the series as a whole. So that is the first pile. The second pile will be for series that I was already collecting. I have volumes 26 and 30 of 𝕬𝕝 𝕤𝕠𝕟𝕚, and with that I have just one volume to go to complete my collection of this series, and it's one that I was actually planning to reread this year. So I'm missing volume 29 if I'm remembering that correctly, and once that becomes available and I get it, I will love to reread the entire thing, like I said. And then I have the last omnibus of 𝕤𝕝 that I was missing. This is omnibus 7, volumes 13 and 14. I can't remember if I was planning to read this year, but this is another one that I would love to reread as well. A Sign of Affection, volume 10. I've talked about this a lot on my channel. Then this is a new one that I don't think I've actually ever really talked about. It's a BL manhwa that recently got licensed. It is titled The New Recruit by 𝕄𝔻𝕻𝕬𝕝. I actually really like this artist, or I think she's the author? No. Yeah, the story is by 𝕄𝔻𝕻𝕬𝕝. The artist is someone else, but this is a really good BL manhwa. One of my favorites, right? Honestly, it is very wholesome and sweet. The main characters are a little bit more grown, and when I mean that in terms of like their age, they're actually, this is an office romance, so they're actually like mature in terms of age and also life experiences. And even the struggles that they had to go through in the story didn't feel like stupid and unnecessary. They were reasonable and they were resolved in a way that made sense without dragging it out for too long. I just really love this series. I've read the entire thing before it got licensed for a physical print, but I'm still picking it up because it's one of my favorites. So there's 2 volumes out so far, I think. I don't think the third one is out just yet, but yeah, that is The New Recruits. And then I have 2 titles by Ai Yazawa, the second volume of last quarter, which was the final one, and then the 4th volume of Neighborhood Story, which was also the final one. I'm actually finishing up my Ai Yazawa reading marathon this month, and by the time I read these 2 volumes, I will have read all the physical copies of Ai Yazawa's stories that I own. I reread Nana and Paradise Kiss last year. Oh, I actually already did read the 2nd volume of last quarter. I'm just remembering that. It was a different type of story from what I'm used to from Ai Yazawa, but I really did enjoy it. And Neighborhood Story I am currently reading, but hopefully I'll talk more about those 2 in another video. But those are series I was collecting that I picked up. And then this last section will be for new series that I've picked up recently. I've actually read most of this, and I'll talk about them separately. The only 2 I haven't read here are Firefly Wedding, and the only reason why I haven't read this was because I tried to order it, but it was on back order, so it took a while before I did receive it. I'm going to try to read it this month, but there's a chance that's not going to happen, but I'm really looking forward to this one. I've loved everything that I've seen about it so far. And then the last one is, or the second one is Worst Soulmate Ever. This one came recommended by mutuals. I have a feeling I'm going to regret picking this up. BL hasn't been hitting as well, especially one-shot BL. They haven't been hitting the way I want them to recently, and I think I need to do a better job of seeing what's available on 𝕬𝕝𝕝 and reading it there before I pick things up physically, because I will be so pissed if I don't enjoy this. But those are the 2 that I haven't read. The ones that I have read, I'm going to split them into different sections. The ones I enjoyed are Home Office Romance. This is I want to say it's a seinen one-shot from Kintetsu Yamada, who is also the author of Sweat and Soap. I really did enjoy this. It's kind of like a office romance setting as well, but it's home office romance. This was set like during the, I don't know if it was COVID-19 that they used in the story specifically, and this office worker started working from home and got to know his next door neighbor, and they ended up marrying each other. It was really cute, told in like super short chapters that were just so easy to consume. I really enjoyed it. I loved it very much. And then the other one is Colette Decides to Die, which is a newly licensed series from Viz. I love this so much, and I read it at a time where I'd read so many disappointing stories that I was really looking forward to, and this just kind of wiped the memory of those disappointments from my memory, so I loved it for that reason. But also, I like the way the story is set up, the way the characters are being explored, and the setting, a kind of like fantasy type setting of the story that is just really different, but that I'm really enjoying. So it's about this apothecary who is overworked, and I don't know if she accidentally jumps into this well that she eventually realizes connects her to hell, where she meets Hades, the god of death, who is also in control of the underworld. But she's trying to run away from her job as an apothecary because she's overworked. And when she gets to hell, she finds out that, what would you know, Hades is also sick and she has to treat him when she gets there. But even though that's what happens when she gets to hell, she ends up developing this very interesting relationship with the god of death that gives her this renewed strength to value her purpose as an apothecary in her original world. And she starts to jump between two worlds and build her relationship with them. There's also kind of like a found family vibe that's starting to develop in the story that I'm really enjoying, and I hope the author explores more of that side of the story, because I think those are the parts that I enjoyed the most. But anyway, I'm just really excited about this one, and I'm definitely going to keep buying and reading this one. And then this one is just by itself, My Dear Detective. You already kind of have everything you need to know about the series on the title. It's about a female detective. I think this is set in like the early 1900s. Women were meant to be in that type of role, and it just goes over her struggle and her meeting this young man that helps her, this mysterious young man that helps her solve some of her cases. It was really interesting. Normally I would have continued buying it and reading it, but honestly it's not a priority for me right now because there are other things that I already own that I would love to read this year, so I will have to table that until later. I can definitely see myself reading more of it in the future though. And then these two, I fucking hated them, and they're going straight to the 𝕬𝕉𝕚𝕚. The first one is Stomp Kick Love. I was seeing this everywhere on social media and the guy was attractive, so I decided to pick it up. This might just be me, but this story gave me rapey vibes. I hated their first time together. He felt like a gaslighter, and there's no plot in this series, and the characters are not explored like at all. I just hated everything about this, and I don't want to talk about it anymore, but I will not be reading any more of this. And then I have Senpai, This Can Be Love, Brush Up. This is like a sequel to the original one-shot, Senpai, This Can Be Love. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it either. This sequel, however, I did not even finish it. I was so bored, I didn't finish it. The only part of this story that I related to was their job, as I think they're graphic designers, and there was some relatability in their, I think it's their function in the process of getting to an end product that I related to as a process engineer, because I tend to do a lot of front-end work, and that front-end work happens to affect the work of all of the other departments that comes after me. I hope that made sense, but that was the only thing that I found relatable in this series. The two main characters were so boring. Their romance or love interest with each other, extremely boring as well. So I have no interest in keeping this, and I am going to be on haul of it. I haven't figured out how exactly I'm going to be doing that, but I know that I do not want them in my physical library. And that is everything that I've picked up recently. I think the only other thing that I wanted to mention was I had put up a community post asking people what kind of content they would love to see more of on this channel, and I got some really exciting answers that I am grateful for. Thank you for whoever put answers on there. Some of them were new types of content that I hadn't thought about before, but they weren't exactly way out of what I already kind of cover on this channel, and others were kind of related to stuff that maybe I'd done like once or twice in the past and then just never followed up on. But anyway, I'm really excited to explore some of those things that were mentioned. And the other thing I wanted to mention was I hope everyone is doing well genuinely with how things have been in the world. I think everyone everywhere for the most part is just having a really hard time, and I hope you're all taking care of yourself. I hope you have the love of friends and family to remind you that everything is going to be okay, and just an activity that you can get lost in for a short period of time or maybe a long period of time to give you a respite from all the chaos that is going on. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say. That is the end of today's video. Whatever day you find yourself watching this, make it a great one, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.